Nice and cozy down here on the grass. Oh my goodness. What's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Today is the 22nd of March, 2026. This is a video on our main side, one of our fourths, where we allow the body to work. In the Image Clothing Company's main side here. How do we do that? Well, the only thing physically placed on us is clothing us with something. Okay, it's just literal wording. Anything placed onto the body is clothing it, the way that God clothes the fields with grass. We're designed in the image of God, so we're a clothing company. In the Image Clothing Company, in the image of Jesus Christ, this is the design. Okay, there's a universal human design. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's just a mechanical machine placed onto this rock in space that is our Earth. Dante's here, by the way. My standard poodle. We just have to allow the body to work. We've got bones that are only the shape that they are and only the length that they are, and they're just connecting to each other directly through ligaments. We've got tendons connecting to bones through what I mean is the muscles connect to the bones through the tendons. These things only happen how they do. Everything in the body has a neutral position, and everything has to reside in its neutral position. Just standing up, even, we lean left or we lean right from the neutral position. Standing up, we lean forward or we lean back from the neutral position. We've got neutrals to rotations, internal or external rotation in the body. We've got just all the functions of the body having just a neutral, because the bones only connect how they do, like I was saying, and they just have to work or they don't, you know. The muscles pull and only directly in line, and so things just have to mesh or they don't. We've got a thin layer of cartilage between the bones, which is cushioning so they don't wear each other out. And this stuff only happens the way it does. There's only one way the human body could ever work. There's no opinion, new information, or sales pitch with it. It's truly impossible to train the human being to get it to do anything, and it always has been. You've just got the body only doing what it does. Here's a couple video references under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. The human body only pulls, okay? The human body is just mechanics. Well, there you go. The muscles of the body, they only pull. And we've got opposing muscles to every function. So we pull muscles to have a function go one way from the neutral, but then we have opposing muscles to have the function go the opposite way, but we stabilize in the center or in the neutral. Just like the elbow, for example, we pull muscles to close the elbow. It's just a hinge joint, but then we also pull muscles on the backside to extend the elbow. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It just pulls. The muscle fibers literally fire with an electrical system from the brain. The muscles contract. They get closer together in every sense of any operation the body has physically like that. It's just a mechanical machine. So, yeah, don't believe me. Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, any of our team members under In the Image Clothing Company, or even our poodles with any of our information, because truth is truth. The human being's always been the exact same, and it always will. But what we have is things we place onto the body. Clothing. Oversized clothing, imbalances in any way that could possibly be in clothing. And there are many in modern 2026 and going forth. Things like collar seams, rotated seams in clothing with robots stitching our clothing nowadays. Zippers, buttons, pockets. We've got ropes introduced to the body, shoelaces or drawstrings tied one side over the other, just rotating the entire body. We've just got only one way all the bones connect in the body, and so you'll never get it to do anything. Like I'm saying, and it's just the case, don't believe me at all, but it's the truth. It always has been, it always will be. I'll be doing this my entire lifetime, so come back in 60, 80 years, whatever it is, however long I live, and the information will still be valid as long as we're aligning it with the truth of God, and really what that is in its simplistic explanation in this case is just that we did not design the human being. There's only one way it could ever possibly physically function. Yeah, it's truly impossible. Physically, mathematically, mechanically impossible to train the human being to get it to do anything. You can't unless you change the shape of the bones and the way that the muscles connect to them. There's only one way the human body could ever possibly function. So we place clothing on the body, and what we do is get into chronic patterning. if this clothing is something we have to work around. So scar tissue builds up and bone spurs build up in the body, and then we have to, you know, not have that be the case. We have to break up bone spurs and scar tissue, just have our bones track in line. Every joint in the body is just bones, which are immovable sticks by themselves connecting to another essentially immovable stick, and they just move where they connect, and the ends of the bones are only the shape that they are. They have to mesh properly or the body's damaged. There's no way you can possibly stretch the human being to get it anywhere. We've got opposing muscles to everything, and so you stretch one side and you've gone too far from the other side. There's a neutral between the two. And so, yeah, there truly is only one way the human body could ever work, and it's always been the exact same. It's just something I could never oversay, or a phrase I could never overuse. It is impossible to train the human being. So, we discuss clothing, you know. We've got joints of material and joints of body parts that have to mesh, like at the shoulder edge, for example. 3 bones meeting to become the shoulder. We've got joints of material meeting of our clothing. It needs to mesh at the edge of the shoulder. So we've got pant waistlines, we've got shoes, and we've got socks, undergarments, anything though, even glasses or jewelry. Anything placed onto the body is clothing it. And so shoes are a huge focus under In the Image Clothing Company. We've just got a universal human design. Every body has one, or every one has a body. It's all the same. You can have a different body to a degree, but only different from the universal human design. That's the only way you could say your body is different, is from something. So, sure, you've got an amputation, a deformity, a birth defect, a major surgery, anything like this, or not like this at all, but that alters your body, sets your body apart a little bit or quite a bit. Cool. We have to do all that we can in our own individualistic situations to get as close as we can to the universal human design, because gravity and breathing, those are 2 of the big things that I can show that you can understand easily, you know. But those are 2 of the biggest things. You know, Earth's gravity is a vertical pull. It's got a horizontal surface to the Earth beneath it. It's a mathematical angle, okay? A 90-degree angle, a right angle, a perpendicular angle. Our bodies have a center line. We've got a sternum, a spine, a trachea, a nose, and our jaw. The jaw naturally stabilizes the entire body, with musculature connecting up to the crown of the head and down to some of these upper ribs and out to the edges of the shoulder from the jaw. There's only one way the body works. We've got even mathematical opposing bends from bottom to top just to stay vertical on Earth's gravity. The ankles bend backward, the knees bend forward, the hips bend backward, the low back bends forward, the mid back bends backward, and the upper back, which is just the neck or the cervical spine, bends forward. It's impossible to train to a neutral. We've just got even opposing bends. They'd have to be able to be mathematically measured evenly to stay vertical on Earth's vertical gravity pull. It's truly impossible to train the human being. We discuss it though so thoroughly, there's no possible dispute to what we're saying if we're aligning it with the truth of God. But we don't get to decide or change truth as human beings. So here's the thing. The feet. Did I tell you this video's title yet? This video's title, I didn't yet, is, wow. This video's title is The Importance of the Proper Height Shoes. We've got feet at our foundation. They grip arches inward, opposing the center line of the human being, and they keep us vertical, okay? So we've got in our feet different length 5 toes, if you have them. If you've got normal feet, all right? As a, you know, according to the universal human design is what I mean by normal. Different length 5 toes. There's a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled Different Length Toes. Yeah, there's a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled The Toes Really Grip. Now here's the thing. We need fingernails and toenails fully to the tips of our fingers and toes to back and support them. Natural God-given strength. Cut relatively flat on the tips to keep us in this neutral position. For the wrist, it's just straight out the outside of the forearm, down and out the pinky finger. No opinion to it. There's a neutral how the body works. All right, so we stay in that neutral position. The bottom of the upper arm bone, called the humerus, is the elbow. The top of the upper arm bone, called the humerus, is the shoulder. There's just a neutral. The elbows stay at the natural waist, okay? Keeping elbows at the natural waist. A video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side. There's no opinion to it. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Truly, okay? But the elbows at the natural waist, above the hip bones and below those lowest ribs, then we can actually bend, or we can bend mechanically, side to side, at the spine, which is in the center line of our bodies, okay? So, yeah. There's a neutral height to the shoulder. It's the neutral height to the elbow because they're connected through a bone that can't move by itself, all right? There you go. So, yeah, fingernails and toenails. The toes really grip. A video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, but only if they're backed and supported by the toenails. Natural strength is just support for the back of the finger pads, or else the pads just roll away. Oh, the toe pads, in the case of the toes. The toes can't work if the toenails are cut too short, all right? Train your body all you want. You can't. It's impossible. I mean, you can gain muscle mass, musculature's size, or even strength, sure, but then it always goes back to the human body's only normal once you stop trying to get it to be excessive, you know? You try to gain muscle size by working out your muscles, and you do until you stop trying to get them extra large, excessively large. They just go back to the human body's only normal amount of muscle mass versus fat content. The human body's only normal resting heart rate. The human body's only normal resting breathing rate, respiratory rate. The human body's only normal temperature. There's only a normal to the human being. It's impossible to get the human body to do anything that it doesn't just do mechanically. It's just a machine. It's just a machine, okay? So the feet, we discussed the feet a lot. We've got, wow, 490, give or take, videos here on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company alone as of today's date, the 22nd of March, 2026. We've got 4 sides to In the Image Clothing Company, and these people apparently have a dog. Wow. Wow, just because, you know, I'm already into the video, and now if the dog keeps barking, that's a little bit of an excessive amount of surrounding sounds. Okay, blunt, bold, raw, and real In the Image Clothing Company. We just do it how we do it, but if that dog was barking that much the entire time, that might be a little bit much for the video's sake. Shout out to Dante for basically never barking. Oh my gosh. We've got a lot of videos discussing the feet, okay? In the Image Clothing Company's main side. This dog, dude. I understand we're like right outside of its fence, but that is annoying as all get out. Man. In the Image Clothing Company poop. My heavens. In the Image Clothing Company poodles is another one of our 4ths, and a lot of what we do is discuss how to be a good owner of a dog, what that means. You know, it's natural for dogs to bark where they do, and some dogs are actually bred to bark, but man, is it annoying when dogs are just constantly barking. All right, we'll talk about In the Image Clothing Company poodles and the other 3 sides besides this one of In the Image Clothing Company throughout this where we do if we do. But here's the thing with the feet. Let me just reference some videos under In the Image Clothing Company's main side here about the feet. The importance of even Achilles tendons insertions. The importance of the proper height socks. The toes really grip. The feet only work barefooted. Keeping heels on the ground. Keeping 2 points of contact in the feet. The height of a gripped arch. The importance of even ankle flexion. Okay. Different length toes. In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, there is only one way the feet work. There is only one way the feet are shaped. All right, there's some videos here discussing the feet under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. There's more if I reference them throughout this than I do. Okay, as of today's date, the 22nd of March, 2026. So, the feet, they're huge, all right? We've got a lot going on in the feet. Check this out. We've got different length toes, like I was saying. We roll evenly off the ends of our 5 different length toes. That's why they're there. They all just share the weight evenly. And, yeah. We've got a foot tripod. We've got pronation, supination, internal rotation, and external rotation that travels from the feet up to the knee, and just these lower legs and the 2 bones in the lower leg. They're just like the bones in the forearm. In the forearm, we have a radius and an ulna, 2 bones that rotate over each other to allow for rotations from the fingertips to the elbow. In the lower leg, we have a tibia and a fibula that rotate over each other to allow for rotation from the toe tips up to the knee joint. Okay, so yeah, we've got lifting of the toes, which is dorsiflexion, or pointing of the toes, which is plantar flexion. And all this is just happening in the feet. All right, there's a lot going on. Oh, here's a video under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here about the feet. The extensor hallucis longus muscle and shoelaces. Okay, and I'll discuss what I do with that in this video, but there you go. Reference, go to that if you'd like to see what I mean about that, as far as what I discussed in that video about what the title is. So here's the thing. In The Image Clothing Company is the thing that we're doing here. What I'm saying is, the feet only work how they do. And so that video I referenced, the feet only work barefooted. What I mean is, our feet just work how they work. God designed the human body to work, just like how the animals work. The animals don't do stretching routines or workout routines to try to get their body to do something. It's physically impossible to get the bodies, just this thing of bone and blood and flesh, to do anything besides what it does. It's not our design. The animals just work. They just operate. And so would the human being, like children, like babies, and then toddlers. And then as you get older, your body gets into patterning, like I'm saying. But the body's designed by God to work. Before we can alter it as human beings, we live in this modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. And there's a lot of things that can damage our bodies. Clothing, though, it's the only thing physically placed on us, all right? So shoes are clothing the feet with something, okay? And the body would just work if it didn't have to work around anything, within our own individualistic situations at least, We put clothing on our bodies, though, and within the shoes, we've got a lot of things. We've got unnatural, synthetic, and artificial materials nowadays, which are synonyms with the word fake. Yeah, okay. Clothing is made out of unnatural materials a lot of the time in modern 2026. Around this time period and going forth, it's only going to get more unnatural and worse. Truly worse is the proper word to use there. It just is what it is. And stretch in clothing, it didn't even exist. Just tens of years ago from today's date, the 22nd of March, 2026, stretch came with these unnatural materials, and the body only pulls. The muscles only pull where they connect to bones at their endpoints, called insertions, and they just pull directly in line together. Okay? Even in what seems like a push, we're just pulling muscles together on the backside of a hinge joint to extend the hinge. Okay? The body only pulls. Stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way the body can possibly work. So, yeah, no stretch in clothing, right? Clothing's got to stay centered, fit correct, and there's no opinion to that. There's a universal human design. What it means for clothing to fit correct, all right? We discuss it clearly under In The Image Clothing Company. And be made in all the ways we can from 100% natural materials. 100% natural materials are all that exist. Not only all that existed, but unnatural is only natural undone. And then once we do that as human beings, it always decomposes back to natural. Matter cannot be created or destroyed. There's always only the amount of materials we have that are naturally here, made by God, and we can take them and make them unnatural. But but it goes back to how it was. You know, our bodies are only what we eat. We eat earth only. If you eat plants that grew from the earth, or animals that ate plants that grew from the earth, it literally becomes our bodies, just the earth. And then once we die, we just literally go back to the earth and get decomposed into the planet again. All right, pulled from the clay. A video's title here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, but also what God says in the Holy Bible about the human being. We're pulled from the clay, and it's literal. We're just only what we eat. We eat anything unnatural, and the body can't extract any nutrients from it to benefit, but the body has to process that thing through it still, and so it damages the body. It causes effort and energy to have to be used without any replenishing of effort or energy. Well, right, energy in the form of nutrients or calories for the body. So anyway, there's only truth to life. There's no opinion that could ever possibly matter on truth. The feet, they're huge. There's only one way they work. And we're just weaving ropes across the top of the feet with what we call shoelaces. And then the sole of the shoe, that's just the bottom of the feet's function. And so on the bottom of the feet, we have half the function, which is, like I was saying, plantar flexion or pointing the toes. But then the top of the feet is the other half of the function, which is dorsiflexion or lifting the toes. So the bottom of the feet is determined by the shoe soles, okay? The term zero drop in any brand of shoe is just flat on the bottom of the shoe sole, just like the surface of the planet Earth, flat, which is that perpendicular angle that meshes with the vertical pull to gravity. And then we have the body's even mathematical opposing bends just keeping us standing up from there, okay? Shout out to the cute little toy poodle, and Dante as well. Shout out to him for being such a good dog. Man, that was a red poodle too. That's not all that common to see a red poodle. That's sweet. So we have these feet, and they have a neutral, okay? There's, like I'm saying, there's a neutral to everything in the body. No opinion to it. We just discuss it in such depth. There's no possible dispute under In the Image Clothing Company. I'm serious. And it's, as I said earlier, just as simple as being seen like this. You can stand up vertically in your neutral. Then you can lean left, or you can lean right, only from the neutral, all right? So the feet, their neutral is the surface of the planet Earth. The feet can lift up, dorsiflexion, or the feet can point down, plantar flexion, but the surface of the Earth is neutral. It's also the term, like I was saying there, zero drop in any brand of shoe. Just for context, for credit, because this brand is amazing and it's what I'm wearing in this video, these are the Zero Shoes branded Denver leather boots, okay? There you go, credit. Zero Shoes does an amazing job with their shoe designs. Barefoot shoes, all right? Live life feet first is what Zero Shoes, the brand, says. They make great shoes. So here's the thing though, whatever brand of shoe it is, flat on the bottom, the term zero drop. It's just like you're walking across the flat surface of the Earth. You can only go up a hill from the neutral, flat surface of the Earth, or you can go down a hill only from the neutral, flat surface of the Earth. You see what I mean? Neutral. There's always a neutral. So then the top of the feet, it's what we title, okay, In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. We couldn't possibly, no one can, own a weave of a rope. That's all it is. We call them shoelaces. They're just ropes we're weaving across the top of our feet. But it's just the only way the top of the feet are shaped. Like I'm saying, all the functionality in the feet, bones, tendons, ligaments, and muscles gripping arches inward that keep us vertical, opposing the center line of the human being on Earth's gravity. There's only one way that's shaped on the top, all right? So, stretch in clothing, it can come in the form of ropes. You know, stretchy shoelaces, for example, is a no-no, if you will. If you won't, then it doesn't matter. It's something you can't have. All right, your muscles only pull to work. The feet have to have their muscles working or pulling to stabilize the rest of the entire body traveling up. So, wow, yeah, we have to have material that doesn't stretch. okay? In our shoelaces, in our shoe material, and in all of our clothing, which is just literal wording, meaning anything clothing the body, anything placed onto the body, even the things we interact with in life, unnatural, synthetic, and artificial. These are things in our food, in the labeling of our food, okay, man-made food, it'll damage the body. These are things in just whatever we could possibly interact with in life that have these materials that they're made out of. But, you know, there's a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled The Epidermis. And the epidermis is the skin of the body. It's an organ. There's little holes in the skin of the body called pores, where perspiration comes out of, okay, sweat, but also things can seep into the skin, and we can get poisoned by these fake materials, you know? If you don't know, now you do. Because the body's only natural, so the natural body, that's only what we eat, doesn't mesh with things that are unnatural that we make as mankind, and it damages our bodies. There's no opinion to it. It's literal poison, all right? This stuff is oil. Poly, ester, acrylic, things like this, poly blends, they're just oil pulled from the earth and refined unnaturally and processed, and it truly is poison for the body, okay? So, the feet. There's a lot happening there, and the importance of the proper height shoes is this video's title on In the Image Clothing Company's main side on the 22nd of March, 2026. You know, we've talked about shoes quite a lot. Under In the Image Clothing Company, okay? But anyway, yeah. The height of the shoe is a really important thing. We've got the sole of the shoe being the bottom of the foot, plantar flexion, or pointing the toes. We've got In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, shaping the top of the shoe or the upper of the shoe, just the only way all the functioning of the top of the foot works. And that's dorsiflexion, lifting the toes. But we've got this ankle joint, all right? The bottom of these two bones in the lower leg is the top of all the bones in the foot, and that's the ankle joint. There's a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled Always Stop Laces at Ankle Flexion. I talk about it like the angle of the ankle, okay? Where the lower leg bones come down and meet the feet bones. This angle that's right at the ankle where we flex, the hinge joint of the ankle, that's where we need to stop our lacing of our shoes. Not lower than that and not higher than that, because there's only one location where these bones of the lower leg come down and meet the bones of the feet. Okay, we're just stopping a rope's weave through holes in the shoe we call eyelets. The ropes we call laces, but it only is what it is. A body. It's a mechanical machine. We can't restrict the function of the ankle, or we restrict the function of the ankle. And so that's what I'm saying. Well, this is the thing. I actually filmed a video under In the Image Clothing Company's main side here as the founder, is the point of me saying it. Evan Strong is my name. Yeah. A long time ago, in relative time, like maybe a year ago, give or take from today's date, the 22nd of March, 2026, titled The Benefit of High Tops and Boots, something like that. But this video is a much more proper explanation of this with more context behind us than we had at that time. But it's the same idea, except this is the video you'd want to watch over that one, really. What I'm saying is, we have these joining bones, the lower leg bones meeting the bones of the feet, the ankle joint. And there's a lot happening there. There's just a lot of motion in the ankle, okay? There's a lot happening in the ankle, a lot of natural motion, very similar to the wrist. There's a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled The Neutral Ankles and the Neutral Wrists. Okay, the neutral ankle and the neutral wrist, something like that. That's what it is, okay? Yes, just I don't know if it's plural or not with the title, but that's what I'm saying. The hand is the foot, the wrist is the ankle, the forearm is the lower leg, the elbow is the knee, the upper arm is the upper leg, the shoulder is the hip, and then the spine connects the two. The jaw stabilizes the entire body, and there's a head on top, you know, the skull. There's only one way the body works. It's just a mechanical machine, okay? So we have these ankles being like our wrists, okay? Yes. Just about the exact same thing. There's just about the exact same amount of bones in the hands and feet. There's 5 fingers, there's 5 toes. They've got rounding to them, we call arches, in both the hands and the feet. If the feet are altered, they'll affect the hands. If the hands are altered, they'll affect the feet. You know, things like the importance of the same size hands, patterning in the feet, patterning in the hands. These are videos under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company's main site of In The Image Clothing Company. As of today's date, the 22nd of March, 2026. There's shade for Dante over there by the fence. That's part of the reason why I picked this location to film this. Good, Dante. So, yeah, it's like 70 degrees maybe, give or take, Fahrenheit out here. It's getting nice and warm, which is great. The importance of the proper height shoes. Well, it goes right along with this, with the same type of title under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. The importance of the proper height socks. Let me say this, all right? The importance of the proper height sock is somewhere between the bottom of this calf muscle, the muscle on the rear of our lower leg, and then the top of the ankle joint. If we have socks up on our calf muscle, on the rear of our upper leg, we restrict that muscle and it can't work properly. If we have socks stopping right at the joint of our ankle, then we've got the ending of the material right on the joint where the body parts are meshing, the lower leg bones meeting the top of the feet bones, and that's just, yeah, not what we're going for, okay? If we want our ankles to function naturally, the material needs to end somewhere between the top of the ankle joint and the bottom of the calf muscle, okay? Now, this is the thing with this video's title. It's basically the same thing. Shoes and socks, in a lot of ways, are basically the same thing. I mean, really, we could just say that socks are thinner shoes or less protective shoes. Or we could say shoes are just more protective socks or thicker socks. It's really the case. You know, often shoes come with lacing, and shoes have multiple different parts when socks might be just woven out of one material. But it's basically the same idea as just discussing the importance of the proper height sock. Well, the importance of the proper height shoe, you know, it's nothing to do with me other than I know what I'm talking about in almost every case of anything in life. If I'm speaking, I try not to speak on anything that I don't know, is what I'm saying. And as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, we've got literally, you know, hundreds and hundreds of videos of me thoroughly discussing the anatomy of the human body in depth, giving free modifications in clothing to not alter our bodies, and just showing how all this works mechanically. So what I'm saying is, me, Evan Strong, as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, and I'll be doing this my entire lifetime, right? Helping human beings with their bodies. The only way they work, truly, there's only one way they do. It's the shape and length of the bones, it's the shape and length of the muscles that just won't change. You'll see me wearing in almost every single video without going back and looking. I can almost guarantee just about every single video since the very founding. Well, yeah, just about. There's some that I wasn't, but, you know, I've been wearing high tops or boots, somewhere around a 6-inch tall shoe. And this is the reason. If we've got a shoe that's too low, like a what you would call a low cut shoe, same way you can have low cut socks, right? We've got a proper height though, where there's not really anything we're going to be getting in the way of in a way that's really going to damage the body. If we have the top of the material of the shoe or the sock, yeah, stopping above the ankle joint but below that calf muscle, there's not much going on there in those lower legs. There's just tendons coming through, connecting the muscles to the foot. And the tendons aren't affected the same way as muscles by something pressing into them. You know, we discuss how sitting with weight on the hamstrings, on the rear of the upper leg, these big muscles, the hamstrings, that's a muscle. And if we sit down on anything like a chair height, you know, we just talk about how chairs are really damaging for the body, just this common height of what chairs have become in modern 2026, for example. You know, depending on time periods is what I mean, but weight on the muscle on the rear of your upper leg, well, the muscle fibers, they fire. Like I'm saying, they get closer together, and if we put weight on the muscle, it deactivates the muscle. It doesn't let the muscle pull together. The human body only ever works activated as a whole. Everything in the body's there with its own individual function, its own individual role to play. And so we can't have certain parts of the body not working and have other parts of the body trying to compensate or make up for the role of something not doing its role properly, because it's got a completely different function it plays. So we can't deactivate muscles by cutting into them, all right, with like pressure or weight. And so in the case of the proper height shoes, all right, the importance of the proper height shoes, this video's title on In The Image Clothing Company's main side on the 22nd of March 2026. If we're just around the area where there's tendons more than just about anything else in the lower part of these lower leg lower leg bones, okay, the lower part, like the lower third, if you will, of the lower leg bones, there's not all that much muscle, you know, mass there, because the upper part of the lower leg, we've got this calf muscle, and then on the outside of the lower leg, we've got all these muscles coming up into the knee joint. There's a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side titled The Top of the Right Fibula. The fibula is the outer bone of the two lower leg bones. And we live in a right-handed world, okay? 85%, give or take, of human beings are right-handed. Because of that, any products that are designed to be used for one-hand usage over just, you know, using it with both hands are almost always designed to be used with the right hand. But we've just got two sides to our bodies, and so we have to stay centered, okay? There's a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side titled, You Can't Be Ambidextrous in Imbalanced Clothing. The word ambidextrous means able to use both sides of our bodies evenly, and really we actually have to allow our bodies to just work because of Earth's vertical gravity pull, and then the center line of our bodies, where all the musculature connects into immovable bone, like the sternum or the spine in the center. You know, there's no opinion to it. There's only one way the body works, ever. It's a mechanical machine, as we say. It's just what it is, yeah. So anyway, yeah, clothing designs, to the degree that they are right-handed, and, you know, we tie right-handed knots if we do as right-handed people, and so now you're tying right-handed knots around your feet and ankles with shoe laces, and maybe they're already laced in a way that's not the way the top of the feet are shaped anyway, you know, and then you tie something around your waist, like a drawstring to hold your pants up, but anything at all that you could tie on or around the body in any way, you put one side over the other and you twist the whole body, and if you're right-handed, you'll probably do a traditional right-handed knot, which is taking the left side and putting it over the right. There's a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side titled Right-Handed Knots versus Left-Handed Knots. You know, essentially what needs to happen, seen with context though, you know, but yeah, is we need right-handed knots on our left side of our bodies and left-handed knots on the right side of our bodies coming in toward the center line of the body, because we've just got two sides opposing the center line. Okay, so yeah, a lot of what I'm saying with this is just giving context, because the top of the right fibula, the point is we get a lot of scar tissue, you know, and a bone spur or bone spurs where these muscles connect into the top of the right fibula, right at this knee joint on the outside of the right leg. If we're off to the right side of our bodies, we've got a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled The Right Foot and the Hip, one titled Lifting the Right Side of the Body. There's a video here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled Internal Rotation from the Shoulder to the Foot, and that's, focused mostly on the right side of the body in this right-handed world. Even if you are left-handed, you still live in a right-handed world here on Earth, okay, currently at least in modern 2026. Today's the 22nd of March, 2026. Anyway, this is what I'm saying, is there's a proper height for the shoe, okay, no matter what you're wearing. But I'm going to show myself move around a little bit here, and yeah, these Zero Shoes branded Denver leather boots, they are full-on genuine leather material, and leather is a tough material. And the reason I'm saying that is because I've got full ankle mobility in these tough leather boots, Zero Shoes does what they do to make really thin, light, good for the body shoes. But as far as the material goes, a lot of people would think you need really pliable and maybe even people would think stretchy material to allow motion, but never stretch. Stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way the muscles in the body could ever possibly work. The only way the body works is if the muscles work to stabilize and move the skeletal system. Okay, the bones are the skeletal system of the body. So, yeah, the human body is about a position. The muscles are a secondary thing to the bones. The skeletal system, or the bones of the body, it's all one system already, connected through ligaments. It's all just a thing by itself. And then the muscles are just pieced on to the bones or the skeletal system to just allow it to move and be stabilized. The muscles always have to come second to the bones. The body's about a position. The bones only move in the position they do. The muscles are just moving the bones. It's about the bones. No opinion to that. It's always been the exact same. That's why a lot of people don't understand how to get their bodies to, let's not use the word get, but that's why a lot of people don't understand how to allow their bodies to work, because they focus on the musculature. All the muscles are doing is connecting to the bones. The bones are there first. You have to focus on the bone's position. The muscles can't do anything with a bone if it's not in a position that it can move. The bones, where they connect to other bones. They're only the shape that they are and the length that they are. There's no opinion to it at all. Again, I'm going to be doing this my entire lifetime. It's a lot of what these are. Like I say, we do so much and always will under all four sides with what I call the gift of video. It's just a date-marked documentation of truth, as long as I'm keeping all my opinions out of it that I possibly can. See what I mean? The human body is designed by God. It will always be the exact same. In order for God to design us in his image, he had to first look like us. And God, also called the truth, is unchanging, the same yesterday, today, and forever. The human body's always been the exact same. Everyone before I lived, or every body after I die. Let's say it like this: every body before I lived, or every one after I died. Wow. Yeah, truth is truth. I don't get to decide, so don't believe me. But what's really going on is, if we don't have the proper height shoe, it's going to either cut into our ankle joint. If it's a low-cut shoe, the top of the shoe, as we just move our ankle, okay? It's going to hit into the joint of the ankle and just be in the way of the joint's function, where the bottom of those two lower leg bones meet the top of the bones on the feet. Or, instead of being on the low end, let's say the shoe's too high, even these boots here, because they're about 6 inches tall, if I were to lace these through all the eyelets, there's still 2 more holes in the upper of the shoe, or eyelets, that I could put the rope or shoelace through. Now I'm going to be restricting my ankle joint if I were to lace it up higher than the, as I say, angle of the ankle. So the proper height shoe, it's different than where you stop the lacing, because this is great. Here comes a car. Check this out. This is awesome. This is awesome. This is a piece of context I haven't verbally spoken like this. Like I'm saying, you can see it in the past, give or take 18 months from today's date back, the 22nd of March, 2026, in what I've worn, me, Evan Strong, as the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. Through all the videos you can see this in, but this is the first time I've verbally explained this, how this works, quite like this. We need the lacing to stop where our ankle flexes, okay? So there's just motion there right at the same joint as the ankle joint, okay? The joint of the two sides of the upper of the shoe through these holes we call eyelets. By the rope we call a lace, cinching it tightly, okay? That joint needs to be the same as the joint of the ankle. Like we say when we discuss very clearly under In The Image Clothing Company here where clothing sits, like I said, for every body who has one or every one who has a body, there's no opinion. Things like the top seams of our, well, the seams of the tops of our clothing, you know, the edge seams of our tops, we've got joints of the shoulder bones and joints of the material of our clothing meshing. That's what we're doing here when we stop the lacing at the ankle flexion, okay? Always stop lacing at ankle flexion. Like I referenced that video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. But it's good for our shoes to actually go higher than that, because now you've got the ability for motion to happen because the rope or the laces of the shoe are stopping right where the ankle moves, but then above that, you've still got this material of the shoe that won't be stopping at this hard location of the ankle and hitting into the joint. Because watch this. Let me say this clearly. What I mean by I've never verbally explained that quite that way yet until now under video is what I mean is it's two separate things. The laces stop at the ankle joint, but the top of the shoe ideally goes above that. It's two separate things as far as the endpoints. The endpoints of the lacing height, but then the endpoint of the shoe upper goes above that, okay? Laces stop right at the ankle joint. The upper of the shoe goes a little bit higher because watch this position here. The upper of my shoe isn't hitting into the joint of my ankle. Like I was saying, how there's not much really happening, if you will, muscle-wise in the lower third, we could say, of the lower leg. Okay, those two bones in the lower leg. In the lower part of it, it's mostly tendons. Okay, we've got the muscles of the lower legs, but as they come down, they connect to a tendon that then connects to the bones of the foot and ankle functioning, okay? Yeah, so at the top end of the leg, there's a tendon connecting to the bone. At the bottom of the leg, there's a tendon connecting to the bone. And in between there, there's a muscle, okay? All right, check this out. We move the ankle. And as we do, that joint of the ankle needs to be able to be stable. That's what I'm saying. We've got musculature going through that ankle joint, but really down at the joint, it's the tendons mostly because they're connecting the muscle to the bones. The bones are the joint. Yikes. I'm not saying anything that I am like questioning. My way of explaining this, I'm trying to explain it in a way that you can understand, even if you don't really know the anatomy of the body just about at all. Okay. I'm doing what I can to explain this nice and clearly for any kind of like understanding level, you know, for whoever is seeing this. So the motion's happening right where the knot's tied of the lacing. Okay, right at that angle of the ankle. Okay, the angle of the ankle, that's where the laces stop. But above that, now there's this material that's still there that's nice and soft against the joint of the ankle. If the material of the top of the shoe was a low-cut shoe, too low and not the proper height of shoe, okay, the importance of the proper height of shoe, this video is amazing, I love this, then you would cut into the joint of the ankle with this top part of the shoe. If it was down at a low cut height, this top of the shoe upper would just hit right into where those bones are meshing, and that's not going to allow a stable joint, because it's like you're just pushing right into the joint. And that won't allow it to be stable. That'll destabilize the joint. Like I'm saying with the muscles of the rear of the upper leg, if we sit with weight on them, it deactivates that muscle, the hamstring, you know? If we just press into muscles, they just deactivate. And so the proper height shoe really is just somewhere right above the ankle joint, but below the calf muscle of the rear of the lower leg. I mean, somewhere right around 6 inches high, which is what these boots are, as far as I know, is 6 inches tall. The upper of the shoe, that's a great height because you clear the ankle joint. You know, I mean, there's just bone ends in the joint of the ankle. And if you have a low-cut shoe, the top of that low-cut shoe is just pushing basically between where the bones meet. It's like gloves. It really is. Like I said, you know, the hand and the feet, they're the same thing. The wrist and the ankle, they're the same thing to a degree. They're basically the same thing. When we wear gloves on our hands, they stop a little bit past the wrist joint. The gloves don't just come onto our hands and stop right at the base of our hand where the bones of the forearms start or stop, depending on which end you're looking at it from. The gloves don't stop right where all these bones meet in the wrist. The gloves go a little bit farther. That's what I'm saying with the shoes and the proper height shoe. Yeah, the importance of the proper height shoe. This video under In The Image Clothing Company's main site on the 22nd of March, 2026. It's like a glove. You have the glove come up a little bit past the wrist, so it's not right on the joint of the wrist. We have the shoe come up a little bit past the joint of the ankle, so the top of the shoe is not right at the joint of the ankle. And then when we do motion in, you know, close to or all the way to our full range of motion, which is a video's title here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side, full range of motion, everything in the body just has a full range on either side of its neutral. The foot has a full range on either side of its neutral. Okay? In whatever way that could be, there's just a full range to all the motion, but it always starts at the neutral. There's a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side titled The Pinky Toes and the Pinky Fingers, and they're the neutral. The pinky toe, straight forward, is the neutral, straight down and out the outside of that lower leg, you know, from the upper leg. And then we've got internal rotation or external rotation from there, because we've got these different length 5 toes. It's just how it works. It's just like laying your feet down on the ground on the outside of your foot. That's straight forward in the neutral. It's the pinky toe, okay? The pinky finger, just like laying our arm down on the ground or on our own arm or on a tabletop. The pinky finger is straight out from the outside of the forearm. That's the neutral. We also have different length fingers and a different length thumb than our fingers. Our fingers wrap evenly around our different length thumb from them. We've got a video here under In The Image Clothing Company's main side titled The Open Palm and Internal Rotation. internal rotation and the pinky finger. You know, there's just videos that we have, and those are some of them. We know what we're talking about, so don't believe us. What I'm saying is there truly is only one way the human body could ever work. And so that's what I mean is there is a proper height to shoes. It's so that we don't cut into the ankle joint, but it's also so that we don't go too high and restrict the motion of the ankle joint. Okay? So, yeah, as I reach my foot out like this, I can get from the neutral to really, what would this be? Supinating, there you go, supinating my ankle nice and far. Look at this. Right now, my foot's completely on the ground. All 5 of my toes and my heel, the ball of my foot, it's all on the ground. But this position's only allowed to happen without damaging the ankle if the ankle can stay stable in that position. And so that's what I mean, a low-cut shoe, which is ironic because, you know, a lot of athletic branded shoes at this time period, at least in 2026, again, today's the 22nd of March, 2026. All right. A lot of athletic branded shoes are low-cut shoes, and they're destabilizing your ankle joint. They're making your ankle joint unstable or unstable, okay? Because the upper of that shoe, or the top part of the shoe, is just pressing right into the joint of your ankle. But this is the thing, is if you don't know how to lace and tie your shoes, just the only way the bones are shaped in your feet, there's no opinion to it. We couldn't take credit for it under In the Image Clothing Company. But if you don't know how to weave a rope across the top of your feet, the only way the top of your feet are shaped, then it's never going to feel right in any shoe. And so it'll be restricting your foot if it's not done properly. And then it's maybe an idea of, well, the lower I could get my shoe, the more it's out of the way. That might be a way we might think about it, you know, and then you might get a low-cut shoe. But now the low-cut shoe is literally cutting into your ankle joint with the upper, okay? Because the thing is, with a shoe about 6 inches high, give or take, you know, above the ankle joint, but below that calf muscle on the rear of the lower leg. And really, yeah, I mean, somewhere right around 6 inches high is great. You don't need to go any higher than you need to go, because you're already going to have to, by the way, clearly have to, meaning I'm saying that clearly, stop your lacing right where your ankle flexes. Otherwise, you just restrict all the motion in your ankle. And so if you have an excessively high shoe, it's just excessive material. It's just kind of there, because if you're going to not restrict your ankle joint with your shoelaces, you're going to stop your lacing right at the angle of the ankle anyway. And so you don't need the upper any higher than just clearing the top part of the ankle joint so it's not cutting into the ankle joint. Okay? So yeah, 6 inches is a really, really great height for shoes. Yeah. I mean, really. And why I'm saying that is because that's a very common thing. You know, it's really common to have 6 inch tall high tops or 6 inch tall boots. And so that's great. Maybe you could go 7 or 8 inches up the lower leg, but you wouldn't need to if the upper of your shoe is clearing the top of your ankle joint. See what I mean? We've just got these bones, you know, on the inside of the ankle, there's that bone there. On the outside of the ankle, there's that bone there. And so yeah, I see, that's what I mean, is I see it. I get what's going on. With design, I understand. A low-cut shoe, it's what I was just saying a minute or two ago here, give or take. if you want to get less restriction to your feet, you might think, okay, well, if I can get a shoe low enough that it cuts down and around these bones of my ankle, then it's not going to be in the way of the ankle. But then you've just got to really, like I was saying, unstable or unstable, deactivated ankle, because as you move, the shoe's tied onto your foot, or it's on your foot somehow. Maybe there's no laces, you know, there's shoes that you can have with no laces. It's very important to have laces though, because then we can just cinch it tightly around our foot. Again, no credit of ours, but with what we title as In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, it's just the only way you're going to get that shape of all the bones on the top of the feet with a rope weaved across them. So you're able to do that and just cinch it down tightly on your foot, so there's not play in your shoe and your foot just has all of its natural motion. That's only able to happen really, you know, I mean, seen with context, but that's basically only able to happen if you have shoelaces to cinch it down in that shape. So shoelaces are important. I really did. I made a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company here. Again, it was a year ago, maybe, or more from today's date, the 22nd of March, 2026, titled something like Why We Need Shoelaces, or the importance of shoelaces. It's important to have shoelaces in whatever shoe design you could choose to have, rather than a slip-on shoe, because then it's just not going to stay snug on your foot, and your muscles will deactivate and try to just hold the shoe on your foot rather than just working properly. Okay? So, yeah. Okay, there's only one way the feet work. These arches, they grip inward. The pinky toes are the shortest, and they're on the outside of the foot. So, yeah, they just need to be able to grip in from the outside of the foot. There's a lot of context on that we give under In the Image Clothing Company. Okay. Keeping heels on the ground. I know it sounds opposing what a lot of people say with athleticism, but that's how you're going to be the most athletic, because then you can actually really grip an arch in the foot. And like I'm saying, I'll do some kind of motion thing here to really show the ankle's motion when we have the proper height shoe. And it seems kind of backward, you know? We need shoes to be tall enough that they're above our ankles. And that might seem like you might be restricting your ankle's function, but that's why the lacing is so important. Okay. Yeah, I mean, in this position, my ankle's not being pushed into by the upper of the boot. In this position, full pointing of the toe, plantar flexion, the rear of my ankle, where this Achilles tendon comes down from the lower leg muscle, on the rear of it, the calf muscle, okay, if you will. I mean, there's other names for the calf muscle, but the muscle on the rear of the lower leg, where it connects to the Achilles tendon, and then that comes down and connects to the heel of the foot. That's a big point. If you've got low-cut shoes, as you fully point your toes or plantar flex your foot, you're going to have pressure right in the rear of your ankle joint, and it's right around the area where this Achilles tendon is connecting to the heel of your actual foot bone. And so what that'll do is what I've been saying in this video, the point of the importance of the proper height shoes under In the Image Clothing Company's main site on the 22nd of March, 2026. It'll deactivate your ankle. It'll make it unstable, okay, yeah. Destabilize, wow, your ankle. If you've got a low-cut shoe and the rear of it is just pressing into the Achilles tendon right around where it's trying to insert, well, where it does insert to the bone of the heel of your foot. But it's going to be trying to work properly is what I mean by trying, because it's just got pressure at that point going into it. So in somewhere around a 6-inch tall shoe, high top or boot, now you're more into the middle part of this Achilles tendon, where it's not going to affect it like it would on the very bottom end where it's connecting to the bone of the heel of the foot in a low-cut shoe. Do you see what I mean? So also, you're just not going to have it slipping off the rear of your heel. That's the thing. I've seen people before, they've got scars on the rear of their foot where this Achilles tendon, again, coming from the calf muscle on the rear of the lower leg, connecting there and then coming down and connecting to the heel of the foot. I've seen people with scars there on their heel because as they're doing things like athletic movements or even just walking, the rear of the shoe will be slipping on their heel, just slipping up and down. And then if you couple that with improper height socks as well, then it's just wearing away at the skin there, and it's really wearing on the body where that tendon is connecting to the bone. And that's something in itself that can create a bone spur there on the heel. When I reference those videos here under In the Image Clothing Company's main side titled The Importance of Even Achilles Tendon Insertions, okay, where the Achilles tendon inserts or connects to the bone of the heel of the foot, we can get a bone spur created there, and especially on the right side, living in this right-handed world. And so that's what I'm saying, you know, is all of the things that I am in this video. We've got a video also under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here titled The Right Achilles Tendon, maybe? The right Achilles tendon insertion, something like that, about the right side specifically, you know, because yeah. Funny. In this right-handed world, that's the thing, the right side of our bodies is what gets damaged the most by far, almost solely the right side of our bodies, really, if we're right-handed at least. You know, we get bone spurs built up. Man, this fly is right on my face. But yeah, bone spurs built up in parts of the body, scar tissue built up in parts of the body that's on the right side if we're using the right side of our bodies much more than the left. We'll be more externally rotated on the right side of our bodies, which will drop the right side and put it farther away from our center line. And then just the whole body's being pulled on. And like I'm saying, this can happen from ropes, you know, tied in a right-handed knot. You're just literally twisting your body with a rope. Or anything that's not even a rope, but that you tie one side over the other around the body, you know. This is really what we do under In the Image Clothing Company. That's what I make very clear. We're only a clothing company to get to the functioning of the human body because clothing is the only thing physically placed on us. And where's Dante? Oh, there he is. Oh my gosh. I'd be so shocked if he just walked off. That's why I was like so taken off guard by when I didn't see him. He was just around this fence right here. He's just such a good dog. I was like, what in the world? Where'd he go? He barely ever even leaves my side, you know, a little bit, like a distance-wise. Anyway, good boy, Dante, good. What I'm saying is, part of what I'm saying is, we advocate for being good owners of dogs and how to under In the Image Clothing Company poodles. And that wouldn't be that great on my part if I had just let him walk off and I wasn't keeping an eye on him. You know, that would have been my fault. But he's a good dog. Anyway, you're a good boy. Come. Good boy. Good doggy. You are good, okay? Good. All right, so, yeah. I just inhaled grass off of his head. We've got, yeah, the right side of our bodies just being damaged, all right? So, yeah, we just get to the functionality of the human being because we're doing everything in our lives through clothing, in our clothing. You know, we're going through it to get to everything else we do. You can address anything you want in your life but it's you that's addressing it. You know, the human body is the only thing that we have. There's an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast titled, wow, yeah, The Only Thing That We Have. In the Image Clothing Company podcast is another one of our fours where we have discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. You don't have to be religious or believe in anything, but we're all human beings, okay? We're all the same thing, placed on the same earth, designed by the same God. It just is what it is. Truth is truth before we got here to try to say that it wasn't, okay? You had to even get here first to be able to develop a belief on where you came from. Things are just what they are, you know? You can't have an opinion on anything unless there's already something there to develop an opinion on, so it's already what it is anyway, even if you weren't there to have an opinion on it. Yeah, truth is truth. And we don't get to decide it or change it as human beings. We just have deep insights on life, be given, under In the Image Clothing Company podcast. We're on episode 204 as of today's date, the 22nd of March, 2026. So there you go. But the thing is, yeah, clothing, it's just the only thing physically placed on us. And so it has to be intentional. Like I say, you don't have to care, okay, about clothing or fashion. When it comes to this video's title, the importance of the proper height shoes on In the Image Clothing Company's main site on the 22nd of March, 2026, you don't even have to care at all about shoe fashion or design, but it's placed around your foot. There's only one way your feet work. There's only one way the ankles work. There's only one way the lower legs work. And then traveling up from the feet's function, they're supporting the rest of the entire body. So we place a man-made thing we call a shoe around the foot. It's a great covering for the foot, as long as it doesn't alter its function. Okay, protection is what shoes are. And then ropes, we can weave them around the foot. We can call them shoelaces, which is great because then we can shape them properly with what we title In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, so that we can cinch what we call a shoe around the foot nice and snug so it can just work properly still while being protected with the term zero drop in any brand of shoe on the bottom or the sole of the shoe. In this case, it's the Zero Shoes brand Denver leather boots in this video that I'm wearing. Okay, and they're wonderful, like I was saying. Yeah, oh yeah, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful boots. But yeah, Zero Shoes the brand. They just do an amazing job with what they do. Yeah, certainly. What I'm saying though is, you don't have to really care about shoes at all. But if you wear them, they can't alter your body, or else your body's altered, and now everything you do in your life, you're approaching it in an altered state of physicality. Your body's just a mechanical machine. It only does what it does. So, allowing the body to work here under In the Image Clothing Company, that's what we do. Clothing's the only thing physically placed on us. Okay? So, there you go. The importance of the proper height shoes. Just a recap. Yeah, it's the same thing, really. Yeah, I mean, it is, to a degree at least. And I'll explain a little bit further as I say this, as the importance of the proper height socks, which we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company as well. The point is to not alter the body, to not alter the foot, ankle, or lower legs function that travels through the rest of the body to the tip of the head and the tip of the fingers. Okay? Yeah, there's only one way it functions. It's just a machine. The human being, always the same. It always has been and always will be. Dante is such a good dog. Check this out. Above the ankle joint, so we're not hitting the upper of the shoe right into where the bones mesh of those lower legs, bottom part of their bones, meaning those feet bones, top part of their bones. That's what we call the ankle joint, okay? So above that, but then below, the majority of the muscle of the lower leg, which is really going to be the bottom of that calf muscle, okay? That muscle on the rear of the lower leg. So, really a good height is somewhere right around 6 inches tall with the upper of the shoe. The upper of a shoe is from the sole of the shoe, like the top of the sole of the shoe, which is the very bottom part we stand on, to the top of the shoe, like the tallest part up from Earth's surface. Okay, that's the upper of the shoe. Somewhere right around 6 inches is going to be great for just about everybody okay? For the sake of the functionality of the body. Yeah. Because what did I say? Every body. It's literal wording. All right? There's only one way it functions. So, there you go. Okay? We have socks, ideally just a little bit above the upper of the shoe. That's what I was saying when I said I'll further it as I explain this. I haven't said this quite yet because, you know, our socks really protect our feet from our shoes. Even though our shoes protect our feet, that's why we wear socks. Socks can help prevent our feet from getting blisters from the shoes. You know, if I were to wear these shoes, as great as they are, these Zero Shoes branded Denver leather boots, if I didn't have socks on, I might get blisters just from the material of the shoe, because the material of the shoe is relatively tough and textured compared to having a sock as a cushion between my foot and the shoe. Then, you know, being that in-between thing that protects my foot from my shoe. Kind of sounds strange to say it like that, but that's why we wear socks. You know, it is. It's like yes, it is, because it's like the bones. You protect a bone from another bone next to it by having cartilage between the bones, or cushioning. And that's like having a shoe and a foot. The protection between the two is the sock. What I'm saying is, if we have the top of our sock just slightly higher than the top of our shoe, then we don't have this upper of our shoe hitting directly against our lower legs skin, even if we have the proper height shoes. You know, that sock will be a slight cushioning. As long as it's above the top of the shoe, then it can cushion the leg from the upper of the shoe. Okay, so anyway, this is the kind of thing that we do under In the Image Clothing Company. What I mean is discussing things maybe what could be seen as excessively thoroughly, you know, because it's permanent. It doesn't matter what shoes are ever made out of, material-wise, for this information to be valid is the point. It matters because we need to do all that we can to have our clothing of any kind, meaning anything placed onto the body, be made out of the same thing the body is, 100% natural materials in all the ways that we can or could. And so that's what I mean is no matter what materials would get invented, this information would be the same. Hey, Dante, stay here, boy. Stay here. Good boy. You wait. Because no matter what material we could make the shoe out of, it's still got to work for the body. And so any time period to ever be, like I'm saying, this would apply to my grandparents, great-great-grandparents. Or my grandkids, great-great-grandkids, you know, on either end of things. It's just the same thing. It's about the angles. We're talking about the body as just mechanics. You know, that video under In the Image Clothing Company's main site here, the human body is just mechanics. It's about the hinge of the ankle and the lever of the foot. It's about just the shape and length of the bones and the shape and length of muscles that connect two bones and only pull directly in line. It'll never change, no matter what shoe design could change to be or look like or be shaped like or made from. You know, 100% natural materials, but that's what I mean is don't believe me. Don't think I have some kind of opinion on how you should have your shoes be. But no matter what you are, like in life, as far as if you're an athlete or you're somebody who just, you know, yeah, I mean, we could label anything, but no matter what capability level you're trying to have your body be able to do, you know, like physical motion wise, this is how it's gonna have to be. Yeah, and don't think I just have some kind of like opinion that I'm trying to push, but really, just to not alter the ankle joint, this is going to be how it's going to have to be. At least basically just like this, in the way of just not restricting the hinge of the ankle, the lever of the foot, and those lower legs, and how all that's connecting to itself and each other. All right? So we try to do all that we can to make these videos and to discuss things under In the Image Clothing Company in a way where it'll last for everybody ever, literally, if we could. I mean, and in this case, yeah, you know, there you go. So anyway, watch me move a little bit. Okay, if I'm in this position here, look at the angle of my ankle there. That's what I mean. I don't have the upper of my boot cutting into my ankle because it's high enough that it's above my ankle joint. This car is probably wondering what I'm doing. Yeah. I feel kind of weird just because I'm not normally in this position. It's not normal for me, you know. But you can be at a really extreme angle of your ankle, and you're not having a sharp upper of the shoe pressing into your ankle joint if it's at the proper height. Okay, I mean, this is a really severe, extreme, if you will, angle of the ankle. My whole foot's on the ground. All of my 5 toes, my ball of my foot, and the heel of my foot. And this is supination at just about its farthest extreme end. But the upper of my shoe isn't pressing into my ankles in a way that's damaging to them. Okay. Anyway, I'm not trying to stretch out my boots. When I say stretch out, I just mean, you know, excessively pull on the leather. But I'm not. I'm just really careful with my things personally because I like to take care of what I have. I'm very minimal with what I have, and so I've had these boots for quite some time. They're still in amazing shape, and it's because I take care of them. That's what I mean. But anyway, my ankles can stay activated as I use my body with the proper height shoe. There you go. So anyway, In the Image Clothing Company music, another one of our fourths, we show the sizing and setup of guitar to not alter things like that neutral wrist and the rounding in our hands. Man, this is a good video. Darn it. I love this. I mean, this is what makes this credible. I'll be doing this my entire lifetime. You know. So having all these documentations that we can reference people back to is very helpful. Very, very helpful. And I'm very, very grateful. Okay. 22nd of March, 2026. So, yeah. You know, I mean, up until now, a lot of our videos under In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, again, I'll be leading this my entire lifetime. But you've seen me up until now mostly just standing there, or maybe sitting there fairly stationary when we do so much under the gift of video. But my body can really move. I mean, I'm extremely athletic. It's just the case, you know, like extremely. I mean, that's what we do here. We preach what we have practiced. We speak out of personal experience. We learn things through trial and error, prayer and revelation. There's a universal human design. Like I'm saying, if we're aligning what we're discussing with the truth of God, which is just how the human being works, it'll never change. Well, the human being's functioning will never change, but our information will always be valid as well. So, no, these are huge, huge videos. Yeah. For the sake of the impact, you know, and they're permanent. So, anyway, there you go. Yeah, you know, rhythm and poetry, lyricism, spoken word, singing, guitar playing, music making, geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ with the messages on In the Image Clothing Company music. We've got series, all the places we do, under all 4 sides of In the Image Clothing Company. We do things in series. We title videos very intentionally so that, like I'm just saying there, we can reference back to things, spiderweb things together. so that we can get you to other things we've done and things we're doing, you know, by referencing what's going on here. That's how we do this, all right? That's how it's going to last, like I'm saying. That's how we've made it a permanent thing. So we've laid a beautiful foundation. Laying a Foundation was episode 100 of In the Image Clothing Company podcast's title, and now we're on episode 204, you know, and we're just going to keep going. So what I'm saying is, good boy, Dante. What I'm also saying is, In the Image Clothing Company poodles, that is what I'm saying. I didn't know it, but I, you know, God knows everything. A lot of what we do is show the way to hold leashes, you know, holding leashes naturally so we don't alter our bodies as the owners of dogs, the height of dogs versus the height of owners. We advocate for being a good owner of dogs and what that means and how to, keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes, for example. The fix is not to adopt dogs from shelters. Dante here is a rescue from the South Utah Valley Animal Shelter, just for context, but that's not the fix. Before birth, with proper breeding, that's what we need to do. You know, advocating for the importance of purebred dogs. In the wild, we've got survival of the fittest, is what it's called. The fittest, or the most healthy, most capable dogs are the ones that live and have litters of puppies, and then you've got good bloodlines of dogs being furthered and you know, just healthy dogs. In our domesticated, modern, man-made world we put these dogs into, okay, yeah, we've got mixed dog breeds. It would just about never happen in the wild, all right? Just about never. It's very unhealthy in almost every case. This is a lot of reason why dogs end up in shelters, because owners don't know how to deal with it. Maybe they don't have the financial means, or they just don't really want to, or it's just too much, you know, to try to figure out what to do with a mixed dog, because a lot of things come that you couldn't expect, you know, temperament things and health things when you're mixing different breeds of dogs. And so anyway, you know, when we discuss all that we do here on In the Image Clothing Company's main side for the human being, with allowing the body to work being our slogan, eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, just everything we do, and doing these things naturally, with the goal being natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. On In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, with our slogan being letting dogs stay natural, we discuss all the same things. And collars, leashes, harnesses, bandanas, slip leads, anything placed onto a dog to clothe the dog. Okay, just that literal wording, anything clothing something else, anything placed onto something else. Well, things like this, you know, video titles under In the Image Clothing Company's main side, but these apply to both human beings and dogs. Things like keeping collars centered and the importance of snug collars, you know. And we just do a lot with dogs. Our information applies to all dogs that it does, and even all the animals across the earth that it would under In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. We just specialize in purebred standard poodles. Standard is the size, it's the large size, and poodle is the breed of dog, okay? There's a lot of reasons for that specific breed, too, why we chose that. It's an amazing breed in so many ways. And so we discuss a lot of these things, okay, In the Image Clothing Company Poodles. Now, we are currently sitting, we as in Dante and I, me being the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, we're in Utah County right now. We are moving down to St. George, Utah. We've got about a month, give or take, from today's date, the 22nd of March, 2026. So we'll set up base camp for life, as I've been wording it. That's where we'll be based for life, as in the Image Clothing Company. That's the reason I'm saying it, is because I'm the founder, Evan Strong. That's where we'll be based. It's a true desert down there, and it's beautiful. Red rock, you know, the sandstone rock. It gets hot in the summers. It stays relatively warm in the winters. It's where we'll be doing all that we do. Our team will be down there. Our building will be built down there, where we ship our products out from, human being clothing and dog products, whatever else we branch out into product-wise, staying centered, fitting correct, being made in all the ways we can from 100% natural material, doing everything dogs is what we need to have. We've got Do Everything clothing that will have available. Do everything dog products, meaning ideally you could do everything you do in your life in any clothing you're ever wearing, because your body only ever has one way it works. And so if we place anything onto it, it just can't alter the body, you know. So there you go. Yeah. Yeah. Poodle parade events and whatever else, you know, we get into event-wise, but this is one of the things I mentioned kind of just to give an idea that we're going to be having events, and this will be some of what some of those events will be, if you can see what I mean. Because there's a lot to come as our team builds and as we just grow and develop as In The Image Clothing Company. We'll be doing a lot more than we just really could do at this time, you know, just as time progresses. So poodle parade events, bring your poodles, purebred of any size or mixed poodles of any size, here to the state of Utah, because we do live up Utah, okay, under In The Image Clothing Company. For the sake of the beautiful, diverse nature, we've got the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints headquarters here in the state of Utah. And with us being down in St. George, Utah, where we'll be based for life, once Dante and I move down there, yeah, we'll get people into nature and dogs into nature through poodle parade events. Come for the event, clearly, okay? Not for In The Image Clothing Company's team. We'll be doing very purposeful things with our events, and the reasons why we're doing them is why you'd be coming, okay? Just to be clear on what I'm saying. It's not like a meet and greet type of thing necessarily, unless it were to be very specifically explained that that was what the individual event was for, depending on which one it was, but yeah. Okay, clean the creek or rid the rubbish type subcategories of, oh my gosh. Poodle parade events, okay. Picking up trash for the environment, all right, helping the planet Earth. We'll do things for the environment, do things with good companies and organizations who are just good people doing good things. And a lot of it is hugely, if you will, largely focused within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, within the state of Utah for the location, and yeah, the environment, and just, you know, what's going on here with the culture of Utah. Seriously, I mean, you'll see what's going on. I just make it clear where I do like this and give quite a lot of context, because here comes the wind noise too. But it's like what I was saying earlier, we're not just a clothing company, we're only a clothing company for the sake of getting to the human body's functioning. It's about allowing the body to work under our main side here of In The Image Clothing Company. And so with what we're doing as In The Image Clothing Company, there's so much to it that you would never really be able to even possibly know by just hearing our 5-word company name, In The Image Clothing Company. You hear clothing and you're like, okay, so they do things with clothing. We do, but that's not it by any means, you know. That's not all of it, is what I mean. There's a lot that we do here. So I just give context where I do. Like I'm saying, these videos will last forever, which is amazing. it's wonderful. So there you go. That's the context I'll give for this video. And yeah, thank you. Watch this. Dante, up. Good. Oh, good. Good. Good dog. All right. Thank you. 22nd of March, 2026, In The Image Clothing Company's main side. The importance of the proper height shoes. All right. As I say, there's more that I could say in each of these videos that I make, you know, if and where there is, then I do say, and we'll deepen our information and our understandings personally, you know, our explanations of things as time progresses. But In The Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, it looks just like this, but you'll find it wherever you find it. I'll show you as I come over to cut the camera. So thank you. Tying shoes evenly over toward the inside, right, on both feet. Okay, and there's two sides to the body.